I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Evie.
Who the do we think we are?
And we're restoring a 70-year-old wooden gaff cutter called Oslo.
That's not it.
Isn't it?
We're restoring
I thought we said we were restoring a 70-year-old wooden Oslo. We're restoring a 21-foot wooden gaff cutter called Oslo
yeah.
that was built here in New Zealand around the year 1960.
We're at quite an exciting stage of the project right now, where we've hauled out and got to see the underside of Oslo for the first time.
We've got to see how much rock there is, and there's quite a lot more than we thought.
It ain't pretty.
So we've got some big decisions to make, and we really need to figure out where we're going to go from here. First, we had to move Oslo from the mooring down to the yacht club in Dunedin, where we could put Oslo in a cradle.
Here's a little compilation. Wow, what a great compilation that was.
I was thoroughly entertained.
I really like the part with the boat in it.
The Hawaii was really good though. It went really well.
Yeah.
It was much easier than we anticipated. Consistently, we've just experienced that everyone is just so nice and so helpful and just so excited that we're just giving this a go, even though we have no idea how to do boats.
Yeah.
So it was just the whole day was just a really positive experience.
So, once the boat came out, it was time to water blast. And it was hard work, getting so messy with paint chips and crud. Ugh. The water blasting was to get rid of all the biofouling underneath, also to get rid of loose paint chips.
And that's when we started to see more soft wood, because the water blaster was digging into softer wood in places.
We just keep going, it's coming off, it needs to come off, and it revealed a lot of just scarring on the wood. It was much worse above the waterline than below it. But yeah, we've discovered more holes for both layers of the diagonal planking. It's starting to get a little more scary at that point.
That's when we saw that the fiberglass on the deck, how bad that was. You could see bits of fiberglass actually coming up.
So through the join from the planks with the plied deck, there's a layer of fiberglass, and that's just degraded. Then the rain gets into the end grain and between the plank layers, and that's definitely the source of a lot of the issues.
After the water blasting, the next thing we started to do was to dig away at the rock patch that we knew was there. I took away one of the temporary patches. I pulled that patch out, and it was just not
Nasty.
good. Nasty.
Yeah.
There was a section where there's actually 3 layers of wood. There was the double diagonal, and then at certain sections between the stringers, there was another layer of mahogany planks that we thought was plywood. So I was cutting away at that with a multi-tool and then chiseling it out, because the rot was all the way behind that 3rd layer of planking, and it just kept going. It just kept going. It was just wet. Maybe at that stage we maybe dug away maybe more than we needed to, because we were just seeing wet wood and being like, oh, that needs to come away. But We've now realised that wet wood doesn't necessarily mean rotten wood.
We are well aware that there is going to be a cost to learning. If we took away a little more than we needed to, I think at this point it's not even going to matter because the extent of the damage is so much. We're going to have to replank a whole area anyway. So we started getting quite a lot of advice when we were doing this from the people on the boatyard. That was really cool.
It sort of went from being like, oh yeah, they'll be fine. You could do this in a month or two. Just get it back in the water as quickly as possible. And then that changed to, okay, this is probably going to take you a long time. And the boat probably needs to be undercover to do the kind of work that we need to do. So that's when people started to sort of advise us to look for a shed or somewhere else where we could have the boat undercover.
At this point, a few people were telling us to scrap the boat, and that felt really bad. So we really had to question why we're doing this. You know, are we going to save this boat, or are we going to cut our losses? And that's a really tough pill to swallow. Alas.
Alack.
It's alas with an S.
So we got to this point where we knew that we had to make a big decision. We decided that if we're going to move forward, we need to have the best quality information that we could get. So Charlotte got in touch with a proper boat surveyor, and he came down with his hammer.
Tap, tap, tap all over that boat. He discovered more rot areas, some below the waterline. The old glue between the diagonal planking lamination has come away and there's a gap. He said if it was him, he'd scrap it, but he was also just as encouraging that it could be done. It's just going to be a big project and take a lot. Just in the way that Oslo is a double diagonal planking, we are doubling down another double
On planking.
Yes, and in a bigger sense.
Philosophically.
Yes. We've kind of been trying to find a bit of a direction and what we want to do and what kind of life we want to build together. Working on an old wooden boat kind of is just like a dream.
To us, it's worth the time to do it. We're not looking at this in terms of how quickly can we get out sailing. We'd like to learn to sail, but I think we'd like to learn how to restore wooden boats more.
Wooden boat building and that kind of thing is like the pinnacle of woodworking to me, and I really want to experience that, you know. I really want to like learn how to do that.
But the main point is that we're doing this. We've decided to do it. We just need to figure out where and how to get the boat to wherever we're going to set up, which will be the next challenge.
So, where does that leave us now?
Well, we're in the workshop. So at the moment, Oslo's still at the yacht club in the cradle. So some of the other areas that are going to need attention aside from the planks are the plywood bulkhead.
There's a bit of rot happening in the big thick plywood there. That could be quite hard to get into kind of fix.
Behind the current hole that goes all the way through to the outside, in front of, so
The stringer.
the rot's in the stringer.
We're probably looking at taking off a lot of planking, replacing a lot of that, taking off a decent amount of decking and cabin and fixing that, fiberglassing the deck and around the gunnel, and there'll probably be more to do once we get into it. So it's really just going to be a restoration at this point.
Yeah. The surveyor said that there's only so much you can see from the outside, and then when we get into it, there's going to be more.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're prepared for that.
If this all doesn't work out one day, we're going to learn a ton.
Yeah, it's going to be worth it for the experience that we get doing it, in our eyes.
And it's a journey and adventure, and that's what we want to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be real interesting, like.
And you're going to like
And
and you're going to like it I'm really trying not to talk over you.
It's hard.
That's really hard
It's
to.
fine.
That's really hard to edit.
On that note, thank you, the subscribers and the people who have commented and stuff. It's so exciting and encouraging to have people watching our videos and giving us feedback. Oh shit.